Hi, and welcome to this week's From the Vault episode from the Magdalen House podcast. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Dallas, Texas, and known affectionately by many as Maggies. Every first and third Wednesday, we share an episode from one of our 3 podcast series. In our From the Vault episodes, we share past podcast releases from our 3 different podcast series: Recover Ed, Recovered, Interviews with Alcoholics, and Hope for the Family. Our podcasts aim to connect, inspire, and educate alcoholics, loved ones, and the community to the Magdalen House and the services we offer. We are so glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Hey y'all, welcome to Recovered, Interviews with Alcoholics. My name is Bryn Jarvinen. I'm your host. I'm also a grateful recovered alcoholic. And today, we get to talk with one of the men in our community who we're so lucky to have. He volunteers at the men's house. He chairs meetings there. He sponsors guys at the house. And so I'm really excited to hear about his experience, strength, and hope. So would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me today. My name is Lance Travis. I'm a recovered alcoholic. My sobriety date is February 22nd of 2022. So I am now almost 54 years old. So I was 51 when I got sober, which means I've got about 2.5 years of recovery and 37 years of active progressive alcoholism.
Drinking practice.
Yes. So a nice, long, thorough, as we say, step 1 experience.
Okay.
Which seems to have so far stuck.
Hey, a really powerful, strong first step experience just helps you further in long-term recovery.
That's what my sponsor told me from the very beginning. I spent a minute a little upset that most of my life was gone.
Yep.
When I saw it for what it really was, and I started working with guys that were getting sober in their 20s, I was a little upset at the beginning, a little upset with God that I was so ignorant for so long and that just for one reason or another did not find this experience. The truth is, I know today the truth is, it wouldn't have worked one day sooner.
Right.
Not one day.
Yeah.
It should have. There was nothing that changed in the last 10 or 15 years of my drinking, but my mind would never have accepted it until the day it was presented to me.
I'm right there with you. Yeah. Open-mindedness. Wasn't ready to hear it.
Right. The end is the end.
Mm-hmm.
These family members ask me every time I'm in the family group, when is the end? Tell me when the end is. And the answer is, unfortunately, we don't know. It is when it is. And hopefully for those of us that are on the other side, we got it, quote unquote, in time.
Yeah.
It's not in our time. It's just in time. And my sponsor said from the beginning, easier to hang on to if we're really done.
I agree.
And so we were at least really done.
Yeah. And now, had you ever tried to get sober prior to 51?
Not classically.
Okay.
About 15 years before, it had gone really off the rails. It was about the same level of badness for the last 15 years, which is just amazing to have even lived through that.
Be alive.
But my kids were little, and my wife came to me and said, "This has to stop." Her words were, "This is not what I signed up for." Mm-hmm. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And she was right. It's not what she had signed up for. And it wasn't me when we met and married. Mm-hmm. I drank, but it wasn't like this. I had not completely lost the power of choice. Okay. I had lost the power of control probably at 14. But, I mean, from the beginning, I showed little control. But there were moments that it wasn't off the rails until the last 15 years. And so when she said that, I took it very seriously, but I understood like what might happen if I didn't get my act together, and I definitely did not want that to happen.
Yeah.
And so the next day I went to the most expensive doctor that I could find with the most initials behind her name. She was a wonderful woman who said, "You are a highly functioning alcoholic." I heard highly functioning. I said, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Your life is amazing, but you drink too much." She said, "Anyone would be jealous to have your life. Look at everything you have and all the success that you've achieved. But you could lose it all if you continue to drink like that. And your wife has done you a great favor by pointing it out.
Wow.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to put you on some medication to control your cravings, and we're going to teach you how to moderate. And I said, that sounds like a fantastic plan. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I'm great. I just need to cut it down a bit.
Yeah.
So I went on the medication. I cut it down for about 3 days. Then it crept back slowly. I lied to her for the next 9 months, the doctor.
Mm-hmm. As we do.
And I lied to my wife for the next 15 years.
As we do.
It was very clear to me early on, so that it was never an attempt to quit.
Yeah.
It was an attempt to find out what was wrong with me, honestly, and quote unquote, get help and moderate.
And control and manage.
Correct.
Our greatest obsession.
She didn't tell me what I wanted to hear because I wanted to hear it. She thought that was the answer.
Yeah.
She never mentioned 12-step program. She never mentioned abstinence. She never mentioned the physical allergy. All the stuff that I later heard, not one mention of, not that I would have listened to it if she'd said it.
Right.
But when it went quickly off the rails again, my reaction was not, I need to get a different kind of help or reassess. That was not my reaction. My reaction was, this is horrible, and no one can ever know ever again. We are taking our problem and we are going deep, deep, deep undercover, no matter what that means. Now, an alcoholic of my variety cannot always keep it as deep undercover as I would like.
Or we think we are doing.
Certainly, I thought that people didn't know it was as bad as it was. Some people I did keep it. Apparently, when I made amends to them, I was told that I kept it successfully hidden from them. I didn't keep it successfully hidden from my wife.
Yeah.
She lived with me. She saw the downward progression, but at some point became a trauma victim and was out of resources to help. I was beyond human help. And she works an amazing Al-Anon program now, but before she knew about any of the things in our book, she had already come to the conclusion that I was beyond human help because at some point she quit thinking she could solve my problem. She never gave up on me, but she didn't know what we were going to do, and I didn't either.
She had come to realize like her own powerlessness.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not in a great way at first. I
Right.
mean, that was not a freeing thing to her at the time. She's found freedom in that now, but that has taken both of us walking through a multi-year recovery journey together.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy we were able to do it together.
That is beautiful and amazing.
It was definitely a miracle.
Yeah.
Part of what I did in early recovery was spend a lot of mental energy trying to figure out the miracles. I'm an analyzer. I'm a spreadsheet guy. When I told my doctor I was type A, she laughed her rear off and said, "Oh, honey, you make the type A's look so normal. We call you type AAA." I own that. That is me. It led to a lot of success in my non-drinking life.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same side of the coin that took me to the bottom of the barrel of the drinking. It's a drivenness beyond logic.
Yeah. Well, and I think because the book talks about that we had willpower in other regards.
A ton.
Right. But
extraordinary.
When it came to alcohol, not so much. But I think that that's what can keep a lot of us out for longer, is that high functioning.
One of the things that still disturbs me when I hear some conversations about alcoholism is a reliance on outside consequences.
Right.
I will hear a lot of well-meaning people. It started with the doctor that described me as a high-functioning alcoholic. She said the reason we don't need to go to deeper extremes is you're not having consequences. Now, I didn't tell her or didn't even understand at the time what my inner consequences were.
Yeah.
But when she said that, she meant jail, divorce, financial ruin, homelessness, chronic terminal medical issues.
Right, which is the idea that we have in our head of what a alcoholic
Correct.
is.
Those are the goalposts that I set for myself as to when I would get help. And although I deserved, in the cosmic sense, all of those consequences 1,000 times over, I never had them.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, I never had them.
Yeah.
It's not because I didn't engage in the behavior that should have led to them. I was simply uncaught.
Yeah.
I now know my truth is none of those consequences would have ever stopped me. They never had anything to do with my alcoholism, and they never had anything to do with my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
It is nowhere in my program that because I have not had my third DWI, I am not a real alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Because that outside stuff had nothing to do with how hopeless I was inside. But the farther I get away from the liquid, the more I understand that my true problem was never about the liquid.
Yep.
And that is hard for a person in active alcoholism to hear or believe.
Yeah.
Because I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
You know the people that I heard this message from, and you know that they shouted loud and clear over and over from the rooftops, your problem is not booze.
Mm-hmm.
That was never my problem. And the true problem, which is me and my reliance on self, is still around. It's better. But the booze, truthfully, went away in a relative flash.
Mm-hmm.
The true illness, which I'm so grateful that I had good people around me to tell me what that really was.
Mm-hmm.
The true illness is the real deal. The hope is that there is a solution to that as well, and it can get so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so part of the message I try to carry is that message that we need to talk about the booze. We need to think about the booze. But it's so much deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
And the solution, when those deeper problems are starting to be addressed, is such a more powerful solution than just being free from the liquid.
I know.
The freedom is so much bigger. That's the good news.
Right. You got to experience it to believe it.
I did.
Yeah.
When my sponsor said these things to me, I told them they were full of it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not believe.
No.
These things sounded unconnected. How is my personality connected to this liquid?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem logical. I agree I'm beyond human help because God knows we've tried every human for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not an outright mental defective, as the book says.
Mm-hmm.
I have some brain cells to rub together and some ideas to come up with, and they all failed miserably.
Yeah.
So the idea that I can't solve it and no human can solve it, got no problem with. But this concept that a spiritual experience is going to change my DNA, I was not down with that.
Right.
Now I did it, but I'd be lying to say
Right.
that I believed it was going to work.
Because out of options.
That's it.
Why not?
That was the way it was presented to me. What do you have to lose?
Yep.
And the folks that worked with me early on met me right where I was with this overly analytical spreadsheet binary brain that has to have my own answers to every question and am going to spin myself into the ground if I don't get them. They embrace that. They encourage me to go through those exercises. They did not tell me that I was doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They told me they were there too. And I can never thank them enough for that patience and wisdom. Just little things to make me see my part in it with one sentence that always brought me right back centered to this idea that my troubles are basically of my own making.
They arise out of myself.
That was a huge, for the guy that hit the beginning of recovery with a ridiculously, for where I was, a ridiculously oversized ego. That was I created several false selves over those 37 years, but my best friend was the arrogant know-it-all.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that showed up everywhere and got me out of the trouble I was in and tried to convince people that broken me, which is what I was inside,
Right.
was actually presentable and normal
Mm-hmm.
and could exist in the world.
That's how you survived.
And the patience with which those people went about piece by piece deconstructing that super annoying ego. I mean, I look back and think, how and why in the world did they put up with me for one day? Because I was intolerable. I was unlovable, but not to them. And they were strangers. Strangers.
Yeah.
Since 1987, the Magdalen House has helped alcoholic women achieve sobriety and sustain recovery. Beginning in 2024, we have expanded to offer the same services for men in a gender-specific facility. Our programs are now open to any alcoholic at any stage of their recovery at absolutely no cost. To complete a phone screening and see if you qualify, call 214-324-9261 or visit our website at magdalenhouse.org/nextstep.
The people that I'm in my recovered life with now, this is weird because I've lived here my whole life, lived and worked here my whole life in this community. The people in my recovered life now, I did not know any of them in my active alcoholism. But instead, I got kind of a blank slate. I walked into a group of people that didn't know me from Adam and were willing to give me everything for free.
I mean, and that's what's so beautiful about this community, though. So, like, when you come in, we know that is not truly who Lance is.
I hope.
That is the disease.
Yeah. That must have been what they've known, because they wouldn't have put up with me otherwise.
Ugh.
They must have known that it was just a matter of time before some of that stuff would fade away. And it took a long time. I'm not talking about 2 weeks and my ego's healed. I'm talking about last week.
I was like,
I'm still
yesterday.
Right. And I stopped asking my sponsor this. I don't know why. I guess because I've heard the same answer long enough that even stubborn me is now willing to accept it. But he's got just over 10 years, and I asked him, when are these dudes going to go away? I said, we got rid of the booze, like, boom. But those dudes,
they're hanging on
they're
tight.
around. And I must have asked him that same question 10 times, which got a hearty chuckle from him every time, saying, let me know if you ever find out the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Because that's not what we're trying to do. And I did like how he redirected me from that. He said, what we're trying to do is first help you identify those things. When you just called me with that 10th step, what was on your mind that caused you to pick up the phone? And I said, I'm in abject fear. I am so afraid of the situation that I'm about to walk into. And he said, did you know that 6 months ago? I said, no. He said, if I'd stopped you on the street, would you have told me that you were afraid of anything? Much less the thing you just told me you were afraid of. It's like, no. And he goes, we win. We've identified the spiritual malady. I know you've already asked God to remove it, because you don't call me anymore until you do, because you know that's the first thing I'm going to say. You picked up the phone, you're discussing it with someone, and as normal, you called me before you went and did something stupid, so there's no amends to make. And I know you're on your way to your commitment, right? So you've already decided to turn your attention to others. He goes, brother, we got this deal. You're trying to make the fear go away. That's not where this ends.
Right.
Where this ends is you identifying it and following the rest of step 10 and remaining spiritually fit.
Yes, and getting to walk through it.
And that is, again, not something that came to me by epiphany on the first call.
Right.
It came after 100 calls and him going, are we starting to get this now? And it's like, yes.
Yes.
And then hopefully all I can do is try to practice that for me and try to pass it on.
Yeah.
That's it. And both of those are powerful enough. That's enough. That's enough to satisfy me. But I would have told you till I was blue in the face that there's no reason trying to change me. That's the way God made me. Accept it. Well, no, you don't get to yell at people accept the worst version of me and love it. No wonder, right? Now, it was super confusing to me, but no wonder I ended up in the corner of my garage alone.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why. Where did all my friends go? Who wants to hang out with that dude?
I hear ya.
But I had no logic about that at
No.
all. I had no answers to that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand that that was a spiritual malady.
Right.
I thought that those were my strengths.
Yep.
And sometimes you got to shut up and get out of the way. And you have to have enough discernment and enough self-esteem in a good way. Security in yourself to know the world is going to be okay if I don't take over this situation. That's still a work in progress for me, Bryn, but I'm learning.
Well, I think it is for a lot of us. I mean, I'm pretty sure that just straight up aligns with 6 and 7, right?
Yes.
Of turning our defects into assets and like progressing along spiritual lines. I don't believe we popped out of the womb with these massive egos and pride, and they were things built up over time.
Yes.
And now I'm discovering them, right?
Yeah, and try to deconstruct them best I can.
Exactly.
In a healthy way, not in a morbid self-harm way.
Right.
Not in a I'm a horrible person, I don't deserve anything good in life.
Judging
just
way, yeah.
in a constructive, we constructively reviewed our day.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's those little words. I'm a word nerd,
Me
Bren,
too.
and those little words in the big book are
very intentional.
very powerful, and I'm very blessed to be involved in a lot of big book studies.
Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of time immersed in it, and that's my program.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to do their own program, but I am unapologetically a big book fanatic.
I'm right there with you. My sponsor likes to say it as everyone gets to subscribe to their own recovery.
Absolutely. What I tell the guys is the same thing that the people that helped me told me. Is this the only answer? I don't know.
It has been for me.
That's it. I can't teach these other versions of recovery because it's not the version that I experienced. Please do not hear me saying that I have a monopoly on recovery.
Right.
I do not. But I am free.
Yeah.
And I've got to stay free. And I'm happy to tell you for free how I got free. That's it. Show up or don't show up. No pressure. And boy, did I need that approach. Luckily, I was approached by people that figuratively at least slapped me on the hand every time, maybe literally sometimes too, every time I uttered the words, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Which, in my first year of meetings, started every one of my shares. I know X, I know Y. It was well-meaning. It's just the way I spoke.
Yeah.
One person in particular that you know well worked very hard to disavow me of that phrase, and she's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not in my hands. I know what's gotten me to a point 2.5 years in that I never dreamed of.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep doing that.
Well, yeah, because you're just, it's like you're just getting started. We just scratched the surface.
I'm a toddler.
I feel like each day.
Right.
No, not even that. Just I feel like each day, even me now, I'm like, I've just scratched the surface,
I hope so.
Yeah. You keep learning, you keep growing and remaining teachable. And in the beginning, though, how was that for you? Was it hard to kind of take that accountability and be open-minded to it?
That may be a better question for my sponsor. But I'll tell you my perspective on it, which was the first night that I met him. Can I tell you a little bit of that story?
Absolutely.
Because it's all people that we know very well that are all very special to me. So I woke up the morning of February 21st, the day before my sobriety date, and I looked in the mirror that morning when I came to. Was very surprised to come to. What I had done over the previous few days, I should not have lived through. And I looked in the mirror and had the first conversation I'd had with God, and that I knew of in 20, I guess at that point, 24 or 25 years. The last one that I remember having with God is when my wife opened the door on our first blind date, and God said, "That's her." And I said, "I know," and we never looked back.
That's the only time saying "I know" is okay.
Correct.
Okay.
We've been inseparable since then. I had not recalled hearing the voice of God over the next 20 whatever years.
Yeah.
But that morning, God clearly said, "One more and you're dead." And I said, "You're right." And then I went in and told my wife, "Take me to rehab. Can't have any more. I'm going to die." God told me. She said, "I'll stay with you all day today. Make sure you don't drink and die," which she did. And then we'll make a plan. I'm so thankful. She then laid by my side, stroked my head like a little baby while I sobbed and was just in total despair, and just repeated over and over again, "I can't and I won't. I can't quit and I won't quit." And after a long time of repeating that over and over again, I heard God laugh. And I said, "What's so funny?" with some expletives thrown in there as well. I was angry. Like, this is not funny. And he said, finally, after 30 years, you finally got something right. You can't and you won't. I had no idea that I was saying out loud my step one experience. I didn't know what powerlessness was. But he said, "All is well, because I can and I will." And I said, "How?" He said, "Just watch." So the next morning I got up, and there was an email in my inbox that I'd never seen before from my church. And it said, "Are you interested in a conversation about recovery? Come hear a recovered woman share her story and see if you learn anything." It was presented as an educational opportunity at my church. And I said, "I can't go. I'm a leader in that church. I'm a Sunday school teacher. I'm the president of the adult choir. I live at that church, drunk, right? Nobody knows. I can't show up there to a discussion on alcoholism. Are you crazy?" God said, "Go." I'm not going to go. We argued a little while longer, and I went. And there's this woman on stage of the church telling her story, and I'm mesmerized. She told my story. Immediately wanted what she had. Tackled her after the meeting. She said, "But if you can stay sober for a couple of days, I want you to come back. There's somebody I want to introduce you to." I said, "I can do that, because if I don't, I'm going to die. And my wife is babysitting me, so it's all going to be okay. Like, the skeletons are out of the closet, the cat's out of the bag. We're going to get better." And so that night, there had been a guy sitting next to me that looked straight off the pages of GQ. I mean, dressed to the nines, just confidence oozing from his pores. I thought the bishop, we were in the church, and so I thought the bishop had sent him there to spy on the alcoholics. This guy does not belong in this room. I come back and he's on the stage and he's telling his story, and it's horrific. Some would say worse than mine. Consequence-wise, the inner struggle I related to. I tackled him after the meeting. I said, "Lisa," who was the woman that spoke at the first meeting, "wants to introduce you to me. I'm that guy. Help me, help me, help me." And he said, "We're not even sure if you're a real alcoholic." And I said, "What's with these people?" And they're trying to now I understand. But at the time, I didn't know they were trying to qualify me. So a long answer to your question was, we sat down and talked about my drinking. And he said, "What do you do for a living? And what's your experience like with God?" After he heard about my drink. Two interesting questions, I thought. And so I told him what I did for a living, and I told him that I had lived in the church my entire life. And he put his head down and shook it in disgust and said, "Oh, you're going to be a hard case." I said, What gives? I mean, I was distraught at his distress. And he's like, "You think you know everything and you won't listen to anyone." He said, "If there's anything that's going to kill you, it's those two things. You're an arrogant know-it-all," right? He called out my false self, my number one best friend. He called him out after a 5-minute conversation. He said, "The good news is you almost killed yourself and you don't want to die. And so the place where we find you right now is the place where there's actually the most hope."
The perfect place.
But the long answer to your question was, how willing was I? According to my sponsor, not so much. But after he said, if you hold on to your arrogance and you hold on to your old beliefs, this is going to kill you.
It will kill you, yeah.
And I think that you've met that reality head on already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to describe your step one experience to you. You've experienced
You've
it.
lived it already.
Or you haven't, but the way you've described it to me and the look I see on your face right now and the tears and you're shaking hands and, it's like, I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
He said, do you believe me when I told you the way that I drank? I said, yes, sir. He's 10 years younger than me. And I'm immediately just like, he's got my answers.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, and do you believe me when I told you I'm free? I said, of course. Why would you lie about that? Right? And it's oozing from your pores.
Yeah, you can see it.
So he said, meet me tomorrow night at this meeting where I ended up meeting all of our friends and getting sober. And I texted him from the parking lot and said, I'm in the parking lot of the meeting. And he texted back, walk in. This is the level of direction that I needed. So he might tell you, perhaps that first conversation that we had did effectively diffuse a lot of my ego, because I got to the meeting and needed instructions about what to do after I pulled up in the parking lot. I didn't know that I was supposed to walk in, but he very patiently walked me through.
Yeah.
Now speak to someone, get a seat, and then shut up for a long time. Nobody needs to hear a word from you. Got it? It's like, yeah, I got it. I understood. For the first time in my life, I didn't want to bulldoze and run that meeting.
Yeah, you were exhausted by that point.
And I didn't know what I was doing or what I was talking about. I didn't know what those other people were talking about either.
Yeah.
It seemed like a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah.
But they did seem to have years and decades of recovery, and there was a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think they could all be liars.
I had that same thought.
I picked out a couple that I thought might not be real alcoholics. Look, I got a judgy streak, and I'm looking at a couple of people going, you're here for the coffee and the fellowship, which, by the way, is fine. You're welcome. I made the coffee and the fellowship just for you. Come one, come all. But there was 100 people there that night, and I picked out the 5 fakers and the 5 liars and was still left with 90 authentic, recovered people who I wanted to be like. And so I kept coming back and I kept coming back.
This podcast is made possible by donors of the Magdalen House. All donations help us provide programs and services to alcoholics and their families at absolutely no cost. If you'd like to donate, text Maggies to 44321 or visit magdalenhouse.org/donate. By making a donation of any amount, you can help save the life of the next alcoholic searching for the solution.
We worked the steps in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He said, like, my life depended on it. He said, I'll be there for you if you're willing to do the work. That's what I tell the guys I work with now.
Yep.
He sent me home with my 4-step worksheets. I called him 2 hours later and told him I was done. And I was.
Mm-hmm.
And we got together the next day and did my 5th step.
Yeah.
We got together the next day and did this. I mean, we moved. Thorough, honest, no wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
He said, buddy, you don't have any time to waste.
Yeah, you don't got time.
And I, again, was so grateful for that because I hear so many stories. Just heard one today about a 2-month-long 4th step. But my sponsor knew that he couldn't leave me with 2 months to do my 4th step.
Right, yeah.
And he said, finish it or don't finish it. If you don't finish it, don't call me. When I started making amends, he walked me through them. Do them or don't do them. If you don't do them, don't call me.
Mm-hmm.
When I had made the first one and I called him, which was to my wife, I told him how it went, and I didn't think it had gone well. And he said, "Oh my God, man, that's a miracle. Like, oh, the thing she said to you is just the best." And of course, it wasn't what my ego wanted to hear, and I thought it was horrible. But then he said, "So we'll get together tomorrow. We'll go over 10, 11, and 12, which we did. And then he called me the next day and said, "You'll be at the Salvation Army at 7 o'clock on Sunday night."
Yep.
I'm 3 weeks recovered. And I said, "No, for what? I've got a home. I'm fine. I don't need any services at the Salvation Army." He said, "No, you're going to be helping guys. You're going to tell your story, and you're going to do a foundation meeting. You're going to run through steps 1, 2, and 3. And I said, "Buddy, I don't know anything about any of this. Do you have a different place for me? I think you know me, right? You know my pedigree. That's not my people. They're not going to listen." I got all kinds of excuses. They're not going to listen to me. I'm not going to have any credibility in that room. Where's the high bottom drunks? Those are my people, right? And he just simply said, "Go or don't go. If you don't go, find a different sponsor."
Oh my God, I love it.
I was so angry, Bryn.
I bet.
I was so angry. But I went, and then I talked to another guy there that night. I said, "I can probably do this once a quarter. I'm busy on Sunday nights. I've got church obligations. It's my family night. Blah, 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 blah." And he said, "If you're going to show up once a quarter, don't show up." I said, "Rude. I'm offering to come help you once a quarter. How often do you come?" He said, 51 weeks a year. He said, "I take a vacation. We have a family vacation that I take every year in July.
Wow.
But every other Sunday night I'm here." That's what a commitment's called, dummy.
Yeah.
I go, "Oh." Very angry, left, called my sponsor. "Can you believe the way that this guy just talked to me? I'm never going back." He said, "Sounds like that's what you needed to hear. If you don't go back, find a different sponsor." My sponsor said, "By the way, I've got a line of guys around the block, literally, that want me to help them, and I want to help every one of them. I want to try. And what that means is I'm not going to waste my time with somebody that doesn't want to get better."
Yeah.
And I said, "I want to get better." He said, "Not when you're telling me you're not going to do the things I've asked you to do." Right? We discussed that on our first meeting. If you want to get better, you have to forget your ideas and take my ideas. So every time I would come up with my own ideas, he would just simply say, "I guess you don't want to get better."
Yeah.
And you want to talk about just a gut shot that even the best arguer, which I'm a pretty good one, cannot argue with. That was it.
Yep.
I had met my match. The people that God put me in front of to teach me recovery.
So what is life like today? Living in the solution. Like, obviously not every day is rainbows and butterflies, right? But being equipped with these tools and practicing these principles in this solution, like, what does life for Lance look like today?
It looks calm, which would have never been a descriptor applied to any part of my life. I still enjoy achieving things personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And I still work hard, sometimes too hard, to my detriment, to achieve those things for less than perfect motives. Better motives than I had.
Right.
My motives in the past was to bulldoze everyone and accumulate as much stuff as I could.
Right. All self-serving.
By the way, I did really good at that. I bulldozed everyone out of my life, and I had a big pile of stuff that I just sat on by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I accomplished that goal.
Yeah.
Just ended up not being a very worthwhile one.
Right.
So today, it's calm. I take it easy with the hamster wheel in my head.
Yeah.
Again, back to my best and worst traits are the two sides of the same coin. I was blessed with a very high horsepower motor. I joke that God put an extra hamster on my wheel and gave him meth, right? I mean, those guys run really fast. That's part of what I was struggling with throughout my alcoholism.
Yes.
Was to slow down those wheels.
I get you.
By the way, to quote another one of my favorite lines from the Big Book, it didn't work. But I tried.
Over and over.
And so now those wheels generally run at normal speed.
Yeah.
Generally. And when they don't, I was talking to the guys in the house about this today. The beautiful thing is, God blessed me with these things called feelings, which I didn't have for decades. When they started to crop up, I immediately numbed them with ridiculous amounts of that liquid. Now, without the liquid or any other mind-altering or mood-altering substances in my life, those feelings are real. And they're real acute. They come on fast and they come on strong.
Hard.
And I don't like to feel bad anymore. And so when that bad stuff comes on, which it does in unpredictable waves, not daily, but they're not all gone. But when they come on, I have a program. I know how to quickly, there's that phrase, I did it. I think that the book gives me suggestions about how to quickly course correct.
Right.
And one of the horrible things that I also did in all of my active addiction is fight against course corrections. I'm going to barrel on ahead in the dumbest way possible. Now, when those bad feelings come and interrupt my normal calmness, they hit me like a ton of bricks, and I have a short checklist, mentally and written down, that I run through. And I had it recently in a horrible funk, and I just went, I see my sponsor. I sit next to my sponsor every week at my meeting. We're involved in the same meeting together, and that is a blessing. But that is our meeting. That is not sponsor-sponsee time. We say hi. We try to help others. We ask each other how the family is, but that's not 10th stepping. And so as this funk grew and grew and grew, I checked my phone log and said, how long has it been since you called him? Answer, 6 weeks. So I picked up the phone right then, and I said, buddy, here's the deal. I think this might have something to do with my current sickness. I don't know, but I'm running through my checklist, and the first thing that came up is, you have been totally living in self-reliance for the last 6 weeks. You have not 10th stepped once while going through some of the most professionally tumultuous stuff of your career. You're handling it. This pain shall cease.
Just get through it.
Just get through it, man. Just push through it. Don't bother him. Of course, it's no bother to him.
No.
And so just that's a very simple answer to, I just went, all right, we're going to get back into weekly phone calls. Will there be any 10th step materials that, which is just for folks that aren't in the middle of a recovery program, just watching for resentfulness, selfishness, fear, and dishonesty. I'm watching for the manifestations of my spiritual illness to crop up, which they will, on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
And then when they crop up, I've got a program to deal with them. That's my ongoing recovery program to keep me from the horrible game of chutes and ladders that I used to play as a kid, where I go all the way back down the chute to the beginning of the game. I don't want to go back to step 4. And the way that I stay out of that is I live in step 10. So I just ask myself a question. Has any 10th step stuff come up over the last 6 weeks? Yes. Daily. So what are you doing? And within 5 minutes with him, I feel renewed.
Right?
Just there's 10 other things on that checklist that I just make sure are a regular part of my life that keeps me sane. The other part that I'll mention, my interactions with people now and the text string that now exists on my phone indicates to me that people like me. That's revolutionary. My wife loves me. I believe that's different. Not better, worse. Different than the 10 texts I got today from people that legitimately like me. So what is my life like today? Happy in that through my expression, out loud expression of my brokenness, I finally found what I had been looking for all along. No one could have ever told me that. I had to experience it. And I now get to experience that in a real way. These are both guys that I'm helping through recovery. These are guys that have helped me through recovery, that reach out to me to say, I am blessed to know you. What in the world are they talking about? No one ever in 20 years said they were blessed to know me.
Right.
I didn't give them any reason to. It's a beautiful life that I believe is promised to get even better.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what that's going to look like. And I don't spend a lot of time trying, which that's a new thing for me too.
We would sell ourselves short.
This God is beyond my comprehension or understanding. I'm too busy living life to waste my time trying to comprehend the incomprehensible.
A fruitful life.
Yes. And
a purposeful life.
I'll be 54 soon. I'm not going to try to put a square peg in a round hole. Done with that.
Yep.
But I'm not going to waste a day. And so when you guys call me and say, can you help us out with this thing today? The answer is always going to be yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going to come from that. And I'm not 24. I don't get 4 other lifetimes to live this. You know, I got what's right in front of me, and I'm going to do it. And we'll see what God reveals to me tomorrow.
Right. More shall be revealed.
But I'm open.
That's so wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lance.
Anytime.
Y'all, men out there, if you want to catch Lance, you can catch him at the men's house every Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Come get to know him. We'd love to have you. I'm sure Lance would love to meet you.
I would. If you missed that, sometimes I'm at Next Step on Thursdays and Saturdays too, and generally hanging around the house for barbecues and walks around the neighborhood and family group and what birthday night and whatever Maggie's has got going on. Because when I'm close to this community, I'm well, and when I'm not, I'm not.
Yeah.
And I want to stay well.
Thank you, Lance. We're so grateful for you.
Thanks for having me, Bren.
Absolutely. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did, and we will catch you on the next episode. Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this From the Vault re-release of the Magdalen House podcast. Tune in every first and third Wednesday for a release from one of our 3 podcast series. To learn more about the Magdalen House and the services we offer, visit magdalenhouse.org or follow us on your favorite social media channels by searching for the Magdalen House.